So welcome to a discussion I'm having here at Fenton Elliott Solicitors with my partner Chris Sutton, who is the head of the family team. And I'm going to ask him about prenup agreements, which we do a fair few of, and I know nothing about. So, Chris, what is a prenuptial agreement?
So a prenuptial agreement is a contract between two people who are engaged to marry, and they want to manage their relationship financially. A lot of it is to do with working out what are they going to do if the marriage comes to an end. So arguably, it's a little unromantic at the point you're planning your wedding, but it's about trying to manage risk in the future.
Is it just for rich people?
Not always. Certainly, I would say most prenuptial agreements are engaged in people who have the resources and they want to invest the money in protecting them. But I think a good prenuptial agreement can have a number of benefits to people with a variety of resources and wealth. I've seen plenty of prenuptial agreements, and I've drafted lots of prenuptial agreements that are focused in on one particular intention that the parties share.
For example?
So protecting a family business.
Right.
So it might be that one spouse has built up a business before their relationship, and the intention is to protect it. They want to make sure that it's a family business, it's been passed down from generation, and they want to ensure that that business is not going to be torn from pillar to post in any divorce. A prenup can really help ensure that that's their joint intention, and we can record that at the time they got married. So if, and obviously we're not wishing it, but if the marriage does come to an end at an earlier stage than they previously thought, we've got a prenup that points back to what their intention was.
So let's imagine, she's got a business that's been handed down, as you say, handed down, generation to generation. And she says to her fiancé, so I know I love you very much, and we're going to live together forever, and it's going to be a happy thing, and we're going to have loads of kids and grandchildren, we'll grow old together. But if it doesn't happen, would you just come along and sign a prenup? That person that's being asked to enter into a prenup, are they reluctant, or they go, look, fair enough, I have no worries about this? Do they get dragged in a bit?
Invariably, there is one party that is a financially stronger party and one that's perhaps deemed to be financially weaker. Not all the time. It can be that two parties are actually both wealthy in their own right, or perhaps they both have different intentions. One wants to protect a business, one wants to protect
the jewelry,
inherited assets, or the jewelry, exactly. Yeah. So they can have a variety of reasons for entering into a prenup. But it does have to be mutual. They do have to agree it. You can't drag a partner kicking and screaming the day before you get married and say, sign this prenup, gun to the head. Or the more legal term is duress.
Oh, yeah, okay. And are they enforceable?
It's difficult to say exactly, because prenuptial agreements, and of course you can have postnuptial agreements, but I'll come back to that in a minute, are not necessarily binding in this country automatically. They are highly persuasive. So
if they get divorced and somehow this document comes up, the judge who is dividing the assets 10 years after the marriage starts will take into account what they agreed in this agreement. Is that right?
Very much so. So the prenuptial agreement will become front and centre of their divorce proceedings.
Right.
I imagine one party will be looking to stick to its contents religiously. The other party might want to deviate from either all of it, or perhaps a part of it.
I gave you the best 10 years of my life.
Something along those lines.
Right.
But they're going to need to identify why the prenuptial agreement can't be stuck to.
Okay.
They're going to have to identify that there was a problem with it in the beginning.
Right.
So perhaps duress, as we mentioned before, or it may be that they didn't have proper legal advice at the time, or there wasn't full and frank financial disclosure. I didn't know you had another £200,000 hidden in a bank in the Cayman Islands, etc.
Okay.
Because if I did, I would have signed something different. So you've got that avenue of attack, or a change of circumstance. When we signed that agreement, darling, we didn't realise we were going to have 5 kids. Or when we signed that agreement, we didn't realise that we were going to boost the business very successfully and move to the Bahamas.
As a result of the input that I gave and
all of that.
So do you do many of these?
I do a fair few. They are increasing in popularity.
Are they?
The key problem with a prenup, and where most people fall down, I'm afraid, is wanting to engage in the prenuptial agreement too late.
Oh.
Because
When it's too late?
Well, an element of duress is possibly signing the document immediately before the wedding. It could later be argued that there was a jeopardy in whether the wedding was going to go ahead.
There was a momentum to the wedding. They booked the venue. They ordered the flowers. They got the dress. And now you can't not sign it because all of that's now in jeopardy.
Exactly. There's no hard and fast rule.
Right.
But case law suggests 28 days before the wedding is an absolute minimum. I try and encourage my clients to do it at least 2 months before a wedding, if there's enough time to allow that.
Okay.
Because this is not a quick document to put together either. The parties need to engage in full and frank financial disclosure. They need to provide documents to each other and each other's respective legal teams about what finances they have.
So each party will be lawyered up.
That's quite important. If there is a situation where one party is saying, look, I can't afford a lawyer, I would always encourage the party who has slightly more financial resource to assist in funding legal advice.
But you can't advise both people.
It's not ideal. Both parties should have independent legal advice so that they have someone looking out for their best interests when going through the disclosure and then drafting those terms.
And have you ever had to litigate one of your documents?
No, not yet.
Okay.
And I hope it never happens because obviously I hope all the clients that I've spoken to and have assisted in drafting nuptial agreements are going to live long, happy marriages and that I only ever see them on social occasions at best.
So what about a post-nuptial? So nuptial means marriage, right? And a post-nuptial means you get married and then you sign one of these things.
So a post-nuptial agreement, most of those are actually done when parties have engaged in trying to do a prenuptial agreement, but they've left it too late.
Okay.
So I've advised them not to sign a document in the days or hours before the wedding, that we put a pin in the matter and we come back to it a month or two after the wedding, or longer if they wish, and we revisit the situation, we revisit the negotiations and we draft the document.
And that has the same weight as a prenuptial agreement?
Arguably it has more, because there is no argument about duress. You proceeded with the marriage. And then you took time out of your happy married life, in the honeymoon period, as it were, to then go back and negotiate the terms.
Okay.
So I would actually argue it has more weight later down the line.
And
a prenup agreement, though, or a postnup, is not a draft a document once and leave it alone. I talked about the changes that can happen, having kids, changing job, relocating. These are all things that can really move the goalposts of what any settlement on a later divorce might look like.
Right.
So it's important that a nuptial agreement is reviewed regularly. That doesn't mean you have to go through the whole process again. It might be.
How regularly?
I advise 5 years as a minimum, and on every major life change.
Okay.
So you have children, major life change. You should be having a quick review. You should be making sure that nuptial agreement allowed for or made allowances for meeting the needs of that child or those children as they're arriving.
Okay.
Or a change of job, or start a new business, etc. These are all major life changes. Party retiring.
Did you do one before you got married?
I didn't.
Why?
I didn't think it was appropriate in my personal circumstances.
Did you think about it?
I thought about it, not going to lie. But I'm not sure it was necessarily right for me and my wife in our situation. It's not right for everyone.
Did she think about it?
I doubt it.
Okay. All right. Listen, thank you very much, Chris. That was really interesting. I really didn't know about prenuptial. I've heard about them and I heard that it was a Hollywood thing to do, but that was really interesting. So if you're interested in talking to Chris about a pre or post-nuptial agreement, please give us a call at Fenton Elliott. Chris will be happy to talk to you about whether or not it's right for you, and if so, to put a document together that you're both happy with and can protect you both in the future. Thank you.